Lem usually shakes his head as we head out on a road trip. He's usually on some type of ultra super road king glide of a beast, while I have an inappropriate amount of gear strapped to the back of a bike, putting out a bit more power than a Honda Grom, with about the same amount of touring sensibility. As I click the new 2016 Yamaha FJR1300 into gear and headed for the hills, the first thought that came to mind is that with this bike's compact feel, it is probably one of the few big bikes we could both see eye to eye on. That doesn't happen often. For 2016, Yamaha has made some fresh updates to this perennial favorite that first hit the US market in 2003. The good folks at Yamaha made sure to point out that these were evolutionary changes, not ground-up revolutionary ones. Things like the addition of a sixth gear to the transmission, a redesigned gearbox, a new slipper and assist clutch, LED headlights, turn signals, and tail lights with a facelift to match, as well as cornering lights on the S version. Yamaha did a nice job of updating this bike while preserving the overall soul of the beast that has made it a favorite for so many riders looking to tackle long distances with a combination of comfort and speed. Riding the FJR1300 to launch the new FJR, Yamaha set us up with a 2-day ride through the mountains north of Phoenix. We got to tackle some of the best sport touring routes that Arizona has to offer, with a solid mix of old desert highways and 2-lane blacktop twisting through the hills outside of Jerome as we made our way to Sedona. Over 2 days, I managed to rack up nearly 500 miles on the FJR1300. While hardcore iron butt riders may scoff at such a performance, that's an above-average amount for these organized press intros, and it was enough to get a feel for some of the changes made for 2016. The FJR1300 is available in 2 versions for 2016, the Standard or A package, with an MSRP of $16,390, and the S version, which upgrades to an electronically adjustable suspension and new LED cornering lights for an additional $1,600. I got a chance to ride both versions, and while I am excited to chat about the differences between the two, I am itching to first discuss the updates to the transmission. While many FJR riders thought the old 5-speed was just fine, many long-distance riders considered the absence of a 6th gear a glaring omission on a bike designed to tackle big miles in comfort and style. Yamaha finally agreed and gave the FJR an upgraded 6-speed gearbox. Personally, I was surprised how rarely I found myself in 6th gear. Hammering down a beeline highway, leaving Phoenix in the rear views, I was more comfortable cruising in 5th gear around 75 miles per hour and spinning just over 4,000 RPM than I was bumping up into 6th. 6th is geared as a very tall overdrive, and unless you're rolling around 80 miles per hour, it's almost overkill. I suppose a lot of this depends on where you prefer to hold engine speed. A lot of the other guys and gals along for the ride raved about the 6th gear. Yamaha claims a 10% reduction in engine speed in top gear, and if you're the type looking for the best fuel performance possible, this will appeal to your conservative sensibilities. For those of you who prefer sacrificing MPGs for a bit more power on tap, click down into 5th. More impressive than the addition of a 6th gear was the redesign of the transmission itself. I found the upgraded separate dog transmission with helically cut gears, redesigned gearbox, and addition of a slipper and assist clutch to be the real story here. My explanation in our video probably is not the most elaborate considering I was thinking in the moment, so I want to give a more thorough rundown of the changes made. Yamaha redesigned the gearbox with new helical gears replacing the old straight-cut gears. You then have revised dog gears that cut down on space as they move to engage the selected gear, as you can see in the illustration above. This allowed Yamaha to add a 6th gear without changing the cases or making the engine wider. Yamaha also claims that the combination of the new dog engagement and slipper and assist clutch allows for smoother shifts and lighter clutch feel while cutting down on noise. I can attest to the smooth shifts, especially aggressive downshifts, and light clutch. The gear ratios were also changed. I was afraid that the taller first and second gears would leave the new FJR stumbling around town while wearing out my left hand. Pulling into Prescott for lunch, we hit heavy traffic and I got really intimate with first gear. It seems that no one works in Prescott on Thursdays. They just drive around basking in their air-conditioned cars. The revised gearing handled low-speed stop-and-go traffic with ease, and my hand wasn't worn out from excessive clutch pull. As day turned to night, I kicked it up a few gears and headed across Arizona 89A towards Sedona. As I paused for a video stop outside of Red Rock State Park, twilight began to set in. The new LED headlights, as well as the cornering lights found on the S, worked fantastically. The road in front of me was set ablaze in a brilliant white light. Through the corners, the extra 3 cornering LEDs on the S light up at 7, 11, and 16 degrees of lean angle respectively. These aren't going to have you tearing around corners as aggressively as you would during the day, but they clicked on systematically and allowed for a much better range of vision through the corners. The LED lights sit in updated front and tail sections of the FJR. This facelift gives the bike a more modern look. A bit more sinister in my opinion, hinting to the world that in spite of its refined image, it still has a brawler of an engine under those fairings. Up before the dawn, I enjoyed getting to watch the sun rise over the red rocks while I sipped my coffee and waited for the others to wake. We left Sedona early enough to beat the morning traffic and were able to flex all 1298cc of the unchanged inline-4 power plant. The engine offers up solid mid-range and top-end power, but feels a bit lazy in the lower end of the rev range. There was a noticeable buzz in the handlebars and seat kicking up around 4,500 RPM. This didn't bother me when riding a bit more aggressively, but had me shifting up a gear when rolling down the highway at a more relaxed pace.